Great, let's move on to the very last section of this. So we've spoken sex, we've spoken religion, and oh my goodness, politics last week in this country.
My goodness.
Was it not insane?
Yeah, it was wild. Entertaining, definitely.
Very entertaining.
entertaining.
Yeah, and
Not
slightly scary also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you and I were on the streets of Cape Town, dodging water cannons
Yes.
skillfully.
Very, very skillfully.
And I don't think I've ever seen as many police officers, be them, SAPS or, Metro Police, even military police, on the streets of Cape Town like we did last week Thursday.
I don't think I've ever in my life seen anything like that. And I was even saying when I got back home that, I mean, look, I don't know what apartheid looked like. I really don't know what the struggle looked like. But in my mind, I imagined that kind of hysteria, like people running all over the place. And I really realized that a lot of people don't know what happened a lot, like before SONA. Like we saw what happened in Parliament, and that was for chuckles. But also, what happened before it is very important. And
Absolutely. This weekend, a lot of people said to me, "My goodness, did you see them? Were you at the madness in the National Assembly?" And I said, "Well, no, I was on the streets before the State of the Nation address, and things were going insane."
I couldn't believe it. And people, the thing is, it's the level of violence. It's how upset people are. That's what I also took away from that, is that we don't understand that people on the ground are upset and they are furious at the state of the country, which I understand, and they want to exercise their rights, but then there's also just a militant kind of energy that was there on that day,
Just blocking it.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the MPs being removed from Parliament. And obviously, the EFF had said they're getting up at the State of the Nation and they're going to ask the president when he's going to pay back the money. But was it the right time?
Yes, I think it was the right time, because normally you get these things are all just swept under the rug. You have these politicians doing whatever they want and then with no consequence, basically. So I think it was bold of them to kind of call the president out like that during his speech, because when else would they have done it? They would have made so much impact. I mean, we were all talking about it. The youth is upset. They want change. There's no jobs, there's no nothing. The youth is frustrated. So yeah, I think this is not the end of what happens. There's probably much more to come, I think.
It's certainly sparked something that's not going to go away anytime soon. I mean, when you're chatting to your family, your peers, your colleagues, is this a topic that is constantly coming up?
All the time. Like I said, people are frustrated. They're angry. They feel like nothing has changed. Everything is still in the hands of who it was in before. During apartheid days, and they want a piece of it. They still have their family. We all have family that still stay in the Cape Flats, and they have things like that. You just don't see any kind of progression. And then you have politicians doing things like, Nkankla and those things. So they're upset, definitely. It's a topic that comes up every week in conversation,
Yeah. And I think also just because systematically, I don't think a lot of things have changed. So our MPs are really, especially of the ruling party, are having, look, there's a lot of goodness that they've brought, and we can't deny that. But I think at the moment, there's too much that has been stagnant for a long time, that the same people are suffering and the same people keep getting low, the poor are getting poorer. So I think it's at a point, where people are frustrated, people want to see a difference. We've all bought into this constitution, and it's a beautiful one, beautifully written, but we need to see it actually actualized. And I think what happened at SONA was testimony to how our actual leaders may not respect it. They broke the laws of that. So where are we sitting at the moment? Which I think is a lot of what we're asking as peers and people around our ages.
I think this week is just going to get even crazier as there's going to be a debate in Parliament and the president's going to answer questions. Do you think, what is the likelihood that President Jacob Zuma is going to get up and during his presidential reply session in Parliament and say, "Okay, cool guys, here's what's what"?
I don't know. Has he ever done that before, though?
No.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't really expect it. They're probably going to get dodged, but we'll see. And obviously, the EFF isn't just not going to sit there without answers. So I'm excited to see what reaction comes out of that.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that the president really doesn't believe that he stole any money.
Yeah.
He spoke at a breakfast briefing on Friday morning, and he literally said 3 separate bodies found that he didn't take a penny. So the president really believes that he didn't take anything. So
But
what's happening?
you see, those three separate bodies, I have to ask, like, who kind of initiated those bodies to do it? Like, we have to start to think beyond that. I can't take his word for, like, fact. I'm sorry. So I'd want, like, an independent group to, like, check that out, because I really do think he stole the money, and I don't think he's going to admit to it. I'm
Right.
sure.
And I think politicians think that we're all stupid,
Yeah.
you know, so they'll just ignore it, like they're not fazed by it. They're not going to give us proper answers because it's a matter of, like, it'll probably go, if we stop asking, it's going to go away, so they just assume it'll just go away eventually.
Yeah, but I
you
don't
know.
think Julius Malema is
He's going to
going
let up.
anywhere.
I love
No.
him for it.
Exactly, that's the thing about Julius Malema. Despite the fact that I would say many to most South Africans disagree with almost everything he says,
Yeah.
people are still behind him when it comes to that call to pay back the money.
Definitely. And I was reading a few comments actually after this whole hysteria this weekend. And a lot of people were saying, and usually, you know, you'll get the horrible comments, but people were like, but he's a man of action at this stage. He's the only person kind of that we can see who said they'd do something and has done it. And I think that maybe might like ruffle Zuma's feathers a little bit. So it will be interesting to see what happens this week.
There's no doubt about it, though. We are living in seriously exciting political times, if not a little bit unhinged in the country.
But I think it's needed. I mean, nothing has been done for so long, and it just gets worse and worse every year. So I think it's about time that these politicians are called out and they're brought to book. They should be, yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today, and I really hope you can come back to talk sex, religion, politics with us.
No, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.